that's what we're being invited into right now as well. So, like I mentioned before, today we are talking about the invisible ways that you're pushing money away. So each expansion room has a different theme and a different topic, and it's all based in the methodology that we teach and that I teach within the community called the four quadrants of quantum sales growth. So we'll get into that a little bit more today. But I'm going to give you two questions here that I want you to answer. One is probably going to be really easy to answer. The second might not be so easy, but I'm curious to see what your answers are. So first one should be pretty easy. I want you to simply drop a one in the chat if you're ready to make more money. Be like, part of my expansion, part of what I'm here for is that I'm ready to make more money. Just drop a one in the chat if that's you. Everyone on the call, right? If you're listening later, you're watching the replay, I know that you're nodding your head and saying yes. Now, the deeper thing that maybe you are very conscious to, maybe you're not. I want you to drop a two in the chat if you have a sense that you might be pushing it or blocking it, pushing it away or blocking it, but you're not quite sure why. That part may feel a little bit more challenging or unclear. I'm curious if anyone is sensing that. It can feel tough or tricky, right? I know like so much of what I teach and love supporting our community with is money and wealth consciousness because it's been such a big part of my journey. And there's been multiple parts of my journey, especially earlier on, where I would have this sense like there's something in my relationship with money that I can't even put my finger on. Like I know I want more, but why does it feel like it's hard to make? Or why do I feel like there's resistance around it or it's not coming the way I would love? Can anyone relate to that? Do you all understand? And so that's what we're going to be getting under the hood of today. And this applies to you whether you're launching a new business and you haven't made your first dollar yet, or maybe you're already making multi-millions in your business, but you're like, I'm ready for more. I'm ready to expand. Maybe you're in sales and you're like, I don't ever want to be an entrepreneur. This still applies to you. So we're going to be getting underneath the hood today. I'm going to do a little bit of quick housekeeping, and then we're going to get into the content and the teaching for today. So expansion room. I just want to make sure that you know how to register, how to be here. If you're here live, you know how to register. If you're watching the replay or you're on YouTube, you don't know how to register yet. I want to tell you so that you can come join live, because when you're here live and when you're on the Zoom call, you can drop questions in the chat. You can receive coaching and support from me. So it's a really special opportunity. So Kudzai, if we could drop the link for the expansion room registration in here in the chat, we want to make sure that you are actually registered. If you're watching on YouTube, go to elisearcher.com/expansion-room to make sure that you're registered every week to come join us live. And what's powerful about that is as we go, I'm looking at the chat periodically to see what are your questions, what's showing up for you. And this is a space where you can get those questions answered as well. So be listening, be paying attention, make sure you're registered live. And then if you are here live, drop your questions in the chat so that I can answer them as we go. And so again, just huge welcome to everyone who's here. I saw we have some more beautiful souls joining us. So welcome Christy, welcome Laura, welcome Mary. We're so glad. We're so glad that you are here. So if you've been part of the community for a while, you may know my story. I'm not going to go super deep into it, but I'll just share at a high level for anyone who's not familiar. For over 10 years, I was stuck at the same level financially in corporate sales and then as an entrepreneur. And I felt like I was always doing the right thing, like reading the books about what to do to make more money, building the funnels, taking the right actions, but I could never break past a certain income threshold. And I had a radical awakening. It felt very much like a spiritual awakening about 5 years ago, where I went from being stuck at the same level for over a decade and feeling an anxiety and fear about money and always feeling like other people were living their vision board life, but I wasn't, to feeling like I kind of cracked the code to what it took to really expand in Quantum Leap. And in 6 weeks, I turned my annual income into my monthly income. Everything transformed in my life really fast. And today I am a woman who feels very blessed to run a multi-million-dollar company, working part-time hours and having 3 kids and being there with my partner who's in medical school. So I have so much passion and heart to teach you the same things because I know what it feels like to be stuck. And I know what it feels like to be like, there's something I can't even put my fingers on, but something feels like it's blocking me. Something feels like it's in my way. And again, that can happen at any stage of your journey. It doesn't just have to be at the beginning or in the early stages. Um, we will only see to the level of our self-concept. And so part of what I want to help you do in the expansion room, and for those of you who go deeper into our programs, is expand your perception, expand your awareness, because the version of you who runs, maybe you're currently running a 6-figure business and you say, I want to run a 7-figure business. The version of you who runs a 7-figure business has a different perception, has a different level of awareness, has a different level of consciousness than the version who's at the level that you're at now. And there's nothing wrong with the level that you're at now. We're always going to want to expand. That's part of why we're here. That's part of why this is called the expansion room. You're always going to want to expand. And I think that sometimes we limit ourselves, or we say, oh, it's wrong to want more. It's wrong to desire more. Who here has ever felt that? Like I should be satisfied with where I am, or I don't want to ask for too much, right? Maybe you got disappointed as a kid when you asked for too much and you learned to stop asking. I truly believe that you are wired for expansion. You really are. Each of us is. Um, it's kind of like we've heard about, and it's so beautiful with the recent mission to the moon, right? That the astronauts did. You hear that for a lot of astronauts, when they make it to the moon and they come back, they're like, what's next, right? How can I even think or see beyond this? 'Cause I feel like I've already had such a peak life experience. Our spirit, who you are, is wired to consistently grow, to consistently expand. And you're going to do that all the way up until your last breath. Now, some people make themselves wrong for it. I know for many years, I felt like I should be satisfied with what I have and where I was in life. But there's this concept that I've really grown to love of divine discontent, which means that you are grateful for everything you have, right? Everything you have. And simultaneously, there is more that you know you're available for. There is more coming in. You have a craving, a longing, a yearning for more. And that can look like a lot of different things. That can look like more opportunities, more growth, more love, more joy, more abundance, more travel, more stages, right? All of the things that we call in as sales leaders, entrepreneurs, professionals, moms, wives, husbands, partners, all of it. And that is the impulse of the divine, whatever your language is, divine, God, source, universe, spirit operating through you. Because as Ashley claims her desire and is more visible and shows up more and serves more people are going to be served and impacted in that. I'm just calling out people I see on my screen right now. As Aubrey says, yes, I'm doing it. I'm going for it, and claims her desire for more. Her family benefits, the people around her benefit. She shows what's possible. Oh, Ashley, that's exactly what I kept feeling. I was like, stages impact more. There's something for you with that. So yeah, beautiful. So there you go. You're communicating it. You don't even have to say it. You're communicating it. That is going to serve more people. That is something that I have really seen over my journey. I remember I had a moment before that quantum leap experience that I told you about, where I was still in the stuck energy, and I was contemplating what it would look like to stay where I was versus really go for it in my life. And I had a 4-month-old son, and I was the breadwinner in our home, and I felt like things were good in life, but I had this yearning, this knowing of like, there's something more, there's something more, there's something more. And I had an opportunity presented to me to invest $50,000 in coaching, which made no sense to me at all at the time. Like it didn't make sense. I didn't have the money. I'd made just double that the year before. I'd made 100,000 the year before. I hadn't saved it. I didn't have the money sitting around. But there was something in my soul that was like, I have to get uncomfortable. I have to be willing to go for it. There was a knowing, when you get those intuitive nudges where you're like, there is something more. I'm meant to go for it. This doesn't make sense on paper, but my heart, my soul is telling me I need to do this. And that's what I ended up following, even though it felt very scary. I felt like, what am I doing? I felt fearful. I felt like I might be jeopardizing our family, all of it. But it was in that process that I quantum leaped. And it was in that process that I started thinking differently. I became aware of the limiting beliefs I've been holding on to. I started showing up differently. One of the things that I now know is that your level of income will never exceed your level of self-worth. So after I made that investment in myself in coaching and mentoring, it was actually in the very act of doing it, I started showing up differently. I held myself to a higher standard. I was no longer available for what I had been available for previously. And the universe rearranged. And in 6 weeks, I went from 100K years to 100K months. Now, what I think about with that story, that impulse I felt, that urge, that knowing of like, you've got to get uncomfortable, you've got to do this, you've got to invest in yourself, you've got to get out of your comfort zone. That was all of you. Does that make sense? When I think about it now, so we're 5 years into the new brand. I've been an entrepreneur for longer than that, but 5 years into She Sells and Superhuman Selling. And the number of clients we have served, the number of beautiful souls I've been privileged to connect with around the globe, that feeling of I'm supposed to do something more, I'm supposed to get out of my comfort zone. Like in that moment, if I had said, no, I'm just going to stay here, that investment is too big, that feels too scary, I'm uncomfortable, I'm going to wait until it makes sense, until it's convenient, until I have the money, right? All the things we tell ourselves, we would not be here today. I can tell you that right now, we would not be here today. And so that impulse that you feel of there's something more, I'm feeling like I want to follow it, I'm feeling like I want to grow, I have a feeling of I want more money in my business, which is money is just energy, it's just a resource, it's just energy, right? One of my newer friends I've had the privilege of getting to know, she's a lovely woman, Dana Grant. She was on the podcast a few months ago. She talked about take out the word money and replace it with energy. If someone's like, I need more money, but that can create resistance because money is a loaded topic, just say, I need more energy. I want more energy. See how much easier that feels to you in your body, right? And I loved that interpretation of it because it all is just energy. But if you're feeling that call, there is a reason. And the reason is it's not just your life, it's all the people that you're going to impact as a result of going for it. All right. And you don't know a lot of them today. Some of them you know, some of them you don't know yet. I had no idea, probably that most of you existed when, when I was following that impulse. And we've got people here live, we've got people on YouTube, we've got people watching the replay. But what I know is it was everyone's collective asking for this needs to emerge now. This material needs to emerge now. I need to hear this through this lens. And each of you has people who are asking for that right now, who need your impact, your leadership. I know some of you who are on here live, and I know the magnitude and the power of what you're creating and building. And it is not just about you. It's about the whole. It's about the collective. So it's really powerful. I want to give you a free resource to go deeper into the 4 quadrants method. Kudzai, if we could drop the link for the 4 quadrants free training in the chat, please. Again, that's part of why you want to be here live. You can grab all the links. But I have a deeper dive training into the 4 quadrants of quantum sales growth. If you have not yet been through it, gone through it, take it. It's amazing. It's structured like a 7-day course that you can go through 1 video a day, and it's going to take you on a deeper dive of kind of that experience and how I quantum leap so that you can take that material and apply it to yourself for your own quantum leap. So we'll share that. My team will share that link in the chat so you can grab it. So, okay, let's talk about this. The invisible ways that you're pushing money away. This is fun, right? Because we think, okay, I want more money. Cool. I'm going to make some more calls. I'm going to do some more posts if you're an entrepreneur. I'm going to need to do more, and then it's going to be there, right? And most people think that way, right? If I want to make more money, I'm going to need to do more. But I want to open you up to that's not true at all. It's not true at all. If you desire more money, but you're not making more, I want to invite you to, it's not so much what you're doing, but it's what you're unconsciously rejecting with what that means. So we're going to get into under the hood of that today. I used to go into companies, and I've trained companies all around the world across virtually every industry you can imagine, B2B sales, B2C sales. Um, I mean, you name it, I've probably trained it or sold it in the 20-ish years that I've been doing this, which I always feel, it feels very strange to say that, but yeah, 20-ish years. Um, and I used to go into a lot of organizations to go train them and help them build out a different sales process so that they could grow their sales. And one of the things that I always thought was curious was I'd get brought in by a company, let's like a financial services company, and they'd say, okay, we want you to teach our team how everyone needs, like, here's how we close. Here's what you say when you close a sale with a new prospect. I would go in and I would teach it, but something interesting would happen. Everyone had the same strategy, right? Everyone has the same words to say, the same training, but some people would consistently be at the top of the leaderboard or the top of the company. Some would be in the middle, and some would consistently stay at the bottom. And then after a while, they wouldn't be there anymore. Why? Why? Everyone has the same strategy, but they have different results. I became aware that it wasn't strategy that people needed. Not that that can't help some, but it was consciousness, right? Some people, the people who consistently get top results, they identify themselves as being a top performer, worthy of more, that it's safe for them to have more. I worked with a woman in financial services years ago, and she had an amazing experience in our community, and she ended up, I think she either tripled or 10x her income. I don't know. It was some very beautiful number within 3 weeks of coming into our program, the 10K Club. It was crazy. Um, Not crazy. Normal people have amazing results like that, but it was one of those where you're like, wow, she really grew really fast. What she became aware of, though, through the material was that she would always get to a certain level of success and then she would stop. I don't know if any of you can relate to that, but she was also a soul cycle instructor. Now, I've never done soul cycle, but I've heard it's fun. I've heard it's also very challenging. And I guess there's some sort of a leaderboard that you can see, like where people's results are. If it wasn't soul cycle, it was something similar where she's a spinning instructor and you can see people's results on a board in the front of the room. So she would talk about how when she was a participant in the class, what she noticed was that, I mean, she's in great shape. She could like smoke everyone if she wanted to in that room. But she would be going and she'd be like in her group doing her thing. And then she would see her name in the number 2 spot. Now, most people would think, what are you going to do when you see yourself in number 2? Speed up, right? You're like, man, I'm so close. I'm going to get to number 1. But what would she do? She slowed down. She would drop down. It was almost an unconscious reflex for her. Why? Because of everything it meant to her to be number 1. Being number 1 was actually loaded. It was loaded with fears of what will people think of me? How will people judge me? Ooh, no one's going to like me when I'm number 1. So let's take this and translate this into money, because once she worked through that, she was able to quantum leap her income really, really quickly. So money is neutral. Let's make money really easy here. Number 1, money's completely made up. Number 2, it's neutral. It's just energy. Now, I think it's beautiful, right? A lot of people are taught to judge money or to judge the desire for it. You can't live your life really well on this planet without it. Like, money is a wonderful thing. I appreciate it. I use it in my life. I think it's a wonderful tool and resource. I love it in the way that I love my clothing. I think it's fun. I appreciate it. I don't think that we need to, I think where people sometimes get the energy mixed up is they're like, oh, I'm going to put it above God, source, universe, spirit, my higher self. Then we can get the energy a little funky. But to me, I love and appreciate it. I appreciate using it. I appreciate what it does in my life, but it's just neutral. The other thing is, it is simply a reflection of your consciousness, but it's not a cause, right? So today we want to get into not so much, all right, how do you make another 100 grand this year, or a million this year, or 10 million this year, or a billion this year, but who would you need to be to invite that in? Who would you need to be to invite that in? I heard this said through Michael Beckwith recently that I thought was so powerful. And if you don't follow Michael, he's like one of my favorite spiritual teachers. I think he's amazing. But he talked about how affirmations don't make something happen, they make something welcome. They don't make something happen, they make something welcome. So the goal of an affirmation isn't to quote unquote make something happen, it makes the idea welcome. And what we want to do here today is look at, if I have a desire for a certain amount of money, a certain amount of growth in my business or in my sales career, what conditions would make that amount welcome? Now, the conditions are your consciousness. They're your level of awareness. They're how open you feel to it. They're how receptive you feel to it. They're how easy it feels like it's going to be for you, right? I was working with one of my private clients the other day, and she wanted to make another 100 grand this month. And she was like, there's something that like I want to, but I'm telling myself that it's going to be hard. I'm telling myself that it's going to be challenging. And so we talked through the story she was having around it, because she's turned her annual income into her monthly income in a short amount of time. She knows how to do it. And what she noticed was that when she implemented what we're talking about on this call and did the things to release resistance around it, she started thinking about other things she would desire. Like, I want to connect with this person. I want to have this opportunity come in, and it would happen same day for her, just like that. And so money is it's like the last step of the manifestation. So it will come in last after your consciousness shifts, but it's going to be fun to see her step into this, because I know she's going to call it in really fast. But it's the areas where she didn't have as much resistance, where it didn't feel like it had to be hard or heavy, where things came in instantly. If things come in and show up immediately when we desire them, right? Abraham Hicks talks about this, ask and it's given. From a spiritual perspective, the moment you say, I desire this, I'm claiming this, maybe it's a boat, maybe it's a new school for your kids, maybe it's a certain level of income in your business, like it's done. It's the level of resistance you have around it, meaning how heavy you think it's going to be, how hard you think it's going to be, how much bigger it feels than you, that will slow down the process. So let's talk about how money actually works here. And let's get under the energetics of it a little bit. So who here studies universal law? Drop a 1 in the chat if you study universal law. I know some of my consultants are on here, so I know that you do. Yes, yes, yes. Beautiful. So law of compensation is a universal law. And this governs the amount of money that you're going to make in your sales or your business. So it's beautiful when you learn to live your life by law, and you learn how to operate according to it. Again, you can say, all right, if I want to make an extra $1 million this year, I want to make an extra X amount. What laws can I live by that will help me do that? Again, there's a law called the law of cause and effect. Every effect, money is just an effect, but it has a cause. So who would I need to be to cause a certain amount to happen? Not what would I need to do? So the law of compensation is a beautiful universal law. And it says that the amount of money you make is tied to 3 things, all right? How good you are at what you do, the demand for what you do, and how difficult it would be to replace you. So how good you are at what you do, the demand for what you do, and how difficult it would be to replace you. So we want to start to play with, this is where identity work, embodiment work, consciousness work is so powerful. When you start to see yourself as a top thought leader in your space, as a top consultant, coach, type your industry in the chat if you're here live. Are you in coaching? Are you in consulting? Are you in healthcare? Are you in SaaS sales? Like, I'm just curious who we have here in the room live. I know a lot of you live. I don't know some of you yet, so I'm just curious. So Mary's in coaching, Ashley, coaching, consulting, teaching, coach. So a lot of coaches and consultants. I love it. And I know we've got a really diverse community here as well. Amy, sales coaching, amazing. One of the best things you can do for your income is you start to think about yourself as the top one in your space. Now, this is not about you being better than anyone else. It's not about competition. I don't like that energy in business. I don't think that that's helpful or useful or serves, but it's just about the energy you carry. And it's about what you expect for yourself. Does that make sense? It's about you expect that when you put out an offer, people are going to sign up for it. That when you speak, people are going to listen. You start to view yourself differently. So one easy thing you could do is go to the end result and say, this is my goal this year in terms of income and clients. Well, what would the self-concept of someone be with that end result? If I want 5 inbound inquiries a week for speaking, training, consulting, or new clients, for someone who did that, for a woman who received that, or for a man who received that, for a human being who received that, what would their self-concept be? How would they view themselves? Does that make sense? And then you start to play with that. It's identity first, action second. And so as we start to play with the law of compensation, you will still only and always receive what you are subconsciously available for. You will only receive what you are available for. We've been doing a ton of work in the community lately. For those of you who are in 10K Club or my mastermind or any of our other programs, we've been doing a ton of work lately on capacity, on increasing your capacity, on expanding your capacity. Because the version of you who can have and hold $1 million has a higher capacity than the version of you who can have and hold 6 figures or $50,000 a year. Does that make sense? So that's something I do in my own life continuously and consistently as I say, okay, if I want to call in a higher level, if I want to call in more money, more impact, more clients, what capacity would I need to have and to hold that? And I often think about the analogy of like potting a plant. So there's a money tree in my office right now that's right next to me. I wish I could show it to you because it's huge. This thing is massive. It's big. It's like almost up to my head now, which is fun. For years, this thing was about that tall. I kept it in the same pot I bought it in. And it was like this little bonsai type tree. And I just never replanted it. And I looked at it one day and I was like, I wonder how big this thing would get if I put it in another pot. Well, it's huge. I could tell you that. What changed? Was it the plant or the pot? I mean, a little bit of both, right? But it needed a bigger pot so that it could expand. The capacity of the pot that it was in previously was maxed. So if you want to expand, if you want to call in more, you have to expand your capacity for what you can have and hold. And so there's a lot of work we do in the community and some things I'll talk with you about today about how safety comes into play with that, how self-concept comes into play with that, self-image. I remember when we moved into our current home now, and we bought this home close to a year and a half ago. This was very much like a home that had been on my vision board for a long time. And it was really beautiful how it came about. I wasn't planning on buying a new home at the time we bought it. We'd actually just bought a new home the year before. But we bought the other home. And in the back of my mind, I had always been like, this one, it's not our forever home, but we had very suddenly been moved up to Maine for my husband's medical school. He got in. We didn't know he was going to get in. I said, I don't want to move around a lot. I want to buy a home. I want to plant roots. We bought a new home sight unseen. It was great. It was beautiful. And then we found out we were pregnant. I think less than a year into that. And I was like, I'm not having another child in this home. It's too, I was like the plant in the pot. It's like we were out of capacity. So I said, we're going to get another home. It's going to happen. And didn't know how it was going to happen. But what I know through this work that's so powerful is you don't need to know how. You just need to know that you want it, that you're claiming it, and that it's happening. Got the lender, got our same realtor who had helped us buy the other home. I was like, you're going to love me. We're buying another home. Let's go. And we found this home that looks just like the home that had been on my vision board for about 5 years before we moved up here to Maine. Now, when we moved into the home, it was stretchy. The mortgage payment was way bigger than what I had ever done before. And there was a period of time for about a couple weeks when we moved into this home where I was like, is this okay? Is this safe? Like, this feels like a lot to pay every month. I don't know. And the inner child, little Elise, was like, "Ooh, is this like, I don't know." I got to kind of experience that. Any of you ever had that happen where maybe you get a next level experience, or you move into a new home, or you buy a wardrobe piece that's more than you've ever paid for anything before, and you're like, "Wait, but is this okay? Is this safe?" What's been so beautiful over the period of a year and a half now of being here is that this feels very natural and normal to me. Now we're looking for another home in another part of the country to expand and to have more, just more experiences, and to be able to take my kids somewhere warm, because we're in Maine, and in the winter it is really cold here. And so, but that feels normal and natural now. But I had to plant myself in another pot, metaphorically, to expand, to actually become the woman who could have and hold this. Does that make sense? Are you all following if you're here on the live stream? So one of the things I want you to think about, yes, Lauren, I'm going to come to Florida. I love that. One of the things I want you to think about in terms of calling in and welcoming more money is, what would it look like to put yourself in a bigger pot, to plant yourself in that? Sometimes that can mean, let's say, joining a mastermind group, right? Where other people are making more money than you're already making, where it helps you see things differently. And suddenly you see what used to feel big suddenly feels small, right? Like, we've got members who are in my mastermind who at one point, like, $100,000 months would have felt big to them, but now they're like, that's natural and normal. That feels very neutral. That feels safe. That feels okay. It's the same type of thing. So getting yourself, whether it's in a coaching environment like one of ours, a mastermind, it can be the way that you travel. It can be that you decide you're no longer available for economy class and you're only doing private or first class, but put yourself in different rooms, in different quote unquote pots, in different scenarios to help you expand. Now, as you do that, you'll become aware of some of the limiting beliefs that you have about money. And this is where we'll talk for a minute about some invisible ways that you may be pushing money away. And I'm going to give you 3 here today. It all has to do with your association with more. All right, so that's the bottom line here. It all has to do with your association with more. So I'm going to give you at a high level what that means, and then I'm going to give you 2 kind of sub bullet points of that. So Aubrey, I know how you love to track. You're so good at tracking things. And so make sure I get all of this in here for everyone, okay? Aubrey's in our community. She keeps me on track with things. So I love when you're here, because you help make sure that I don't go off on a tangent and we actually get the pieces shared that I was going to share. So on a surface level, you want more money. Yes, right? On a surface level, we want more money, of course. But what does more actually mean on a deeper level? More pressure, right? We can view it that way. Now, does it actually mean that? No, not necessarily. But it can mean subconsciously, we can view it as more pressure. It can also, if you think that money equals heightened responsibility, right? More responsibility, more things to take care of. I remember for a while when I felt like my current capacity was max. This was probably maybe when I had just hit my first 7 figures in business and I was thinking about expanding more. And I was like, oh, like the team I'm already leading, that feels like a lot to lead. The decisions I'm already making, that feels like a lot. Do I want to actually take on more? Consciously, I said yes, but unconsciously, my energy was no, I didn't want to take on more. So I got to work through that. Does more money actually mean more responsibility? Yes, in some ways, but can you also bring in people to help you with that, right? Do you bring in more support? Do you bring in more high-level leaders in your business or in your home life to help you with that? Yes. So if more doesn't feel safe for you, your subconscious will say, just like the client I told you about before who would get to number 2 on the leaderboard of her soul cycle class, and then she would slow down because for her, more didn't feel safe. And that ties in with our second thing. So more money in many, I'm seeing here on this call who's in here, a lot of you are entrepreneurs, right? We've got, Christy, functional medicine transitioning to coaching, very cool. We've got sales leaders and sales professionals in our community too. I see a lot of you who are here live today, at least in the Zoom, are entrepreneurs. And so more money, where does money come from? Comes from people, right? At the end of the day, it's an exchange between people. So it can mean more visibility, right? So you can say, I want more money, but do I already have some resistance around visibility? Am I willing to be more seen? Because if I want to serve, if I want to make more money, that means that I'm going to be either increasing my rates a lot to the people who I already serve, or I'm going to be seen by more people, serving more people. Am I willing to be seen more? So I want you to think about right now, just tuning in with, does any part of me hold back right now around visibility? And that can look like you go to post online, but you feel resistance to it. You're like, oh, I don't have anything to say that's going to be useful or helpful. Or, oh, what if I get a negative comment, right? It can also look like, and I 100% can relate to this, saying only what you think will land with people or will resonate for people when you're speaking or sharing. How many of you have had that where you're like, you go to post and then you're like, oh, but what will so and so think of this, or what will everyone else think of this? And in the writing world, people call it writing for the critics, right? Are you writing for the critics? Are you speaking for the critics? You don't even know who these critics are, but you're holding back because you're afraid of what people are going to say. Actually, you had that happen just this morning. Beautiful self-awareness. Yeah, beautiful self-awareness. I used to only say as much as I thought was okay, especially on LinkedIn. Because I come from a corporate background. I got a lot of my clients used to be, like my client base used to be primarily corporate sales leaders. I'm a very spiritual woman. Like if you can't tell on this live stream, you know now. I'm a very spiritual woman. That does not mean there's one particular like religion or faith that is in our community. We have a very diverse community. I love it. And I used to not say things like God or spirit or universe in my content when I was talking. And then I was like, screw it. Like I can't be me if I don't say what I really think and what I really mean. And if someone doesn't resonate with that, they're not my client, and that's okay. But if I'm holding back because of some perceived comment from someone that hasn't actually happened, or maybe it did happen, they're not going to be my client anyway. Like anyone who's going to say something negative about it, they're not going to send me money. I don't care. Like they're not my clients. It's all right. This can also look like maybe playing small in rooms. Do you go to events, but you sit in the back, or you don't raise your hand, or you don't speak up? So more money often means more visibility, right? Those of you who are feeling that call to really make an impact in the world, that means being visible in front of more people. And visibility requires safety and being seen. And then the third thing that I'll say here for relationship with more and what it means, and this the third way that we can unconsciously push money away, is if you have a lack of self-trust. If you have a lack of self-trust. Now, this one was big for me. And the core, like you think our brand on the surface is about sales, make more money. It is. But the core message of the She Sells brand and of everything that I want to bring to you through this is actually to trust yourself. Everything will change in your life when you trust yourself. Now, I could teach on this all day and not be done. So we're going to do just a high level of what this means for today. I realized at a certain point in my life that I did not trust myself. And I think many of us have that experience, and it can happen through maybe you have a trauma and you disconnect your head from your body, like you disconnect from your heart, you start to live just in your head. We've got a number of members of the community that we've helped with that. Or just even think about like as a little kid, I watch our kids now, we've got 3 kids, 5 and under, and they're like so clear on what they want. And they're so joyful and like they want to try and they want to go for things. They want to get messy and dirty and do the things. And then what do grown-ups do? Like, oh, don't do it that way. Stop doing that. I was watching our 3-year-old Luke. He does something that we call experiments with his food, which really means he makes something really disgusting with his food. Like he pours it all. He made the most disgusting thing this morning, I will tell you. I'm not even going to say what was in it, but he does this, and when he first started doing it, I found my instinct would say like, "Oh, don't do that. Why would you do that?" But I stopped myself because I realized he was following that impulse in, and that was like, what happens when I do this? So I don't say a word now. I'm like, babe, you follow your curiosity. Let's see how, like, you find out how that tastes. He tries to offer it to me. I'm like, I'm good, babe. But find out. And I told him this morning, while he was doing it, I was like, I hope you always follow your curiosity. But then we'll have sometimes other members of our family come over and he'll start to do it, and they'll judge, or they'll pull the plate away, and then like, not at the dinner table. Don't do that. That's disgusting. These little things happen where we stop trusting ourselves along something as seemingly simple and benign as that. What is that teaching at a deeper level? Don't trust like, second guess yourself. Stop. You might displease others if you do what you really want to do. You might lose love if you do what you really want to do. So if you don't trust yourself fully and implicitly, money is simply a magnifier. That's all it is. It's just an amplifier of what already is. People think if I make more money, it's going to change me. No, it's not. It's just going to magnify who you're already being. All right. And if you struggle with self-trust right now, money is going to magnify that. If you struggle to make decisions, if you struggle to invest in yourself, if you fear that, like if you and your partner have money arguments in your marriage or in your relationship, money's going to magnify that. All right. But money's not the bad guy. It's just magnifying and amplifying the existing relationship that's already happening, or the existing dynamic that's already happening. If you fear losing $100, or you fear making the wrong choice with $100 or $1,000 or $50,000, are you ready for 1 million? Are you ready for 2 million? Does that make it? Because you're playing at another game there, right? You've got an inherent belief there. If there's any sort of fear of losing the money, you fear it doesn't come back. That's not actually true, right? We print money. The law of circulation, money is meant to come to you and through you, right? Money is, it's something you get to learn with. We have to learn to let ourselves off the hook and a little bit and stop making it seem so important. Now, is it something that's wonderful to learn how to use and circulate? Yes. Does it matter? Yes. And I had a mentor say this to me one time, which really struck me. She said, any 5-star chef, the only way they got there was by cooking a lot of bad meals. It doesn't mean they weren't meant to be a 5-star chef. It just means they had to learn, right? Any wonderful musician, singer, anyone really talented that you watch on stages right now, they messed up a lot. They hit a lot of wrong notes. Why do we make it so final with money where we're like, I can't mess up? Right? It's because we have the wrong idea with it. Money is energy. It's consistently flowing. It's always there. I want you to start thinking about it like your breath. I want you to start thinking about it like oxygen. It's sustaining, it's life-giving, but it's always there for you. And when you need more, you just breathe in more. When you exhale, you exhale. It's not a big deal. That neutral energy with money will shift everything for you. It will shift everything. When I learned to shift into that energy and stop gripping and start following my desire and following my intuition and following like the nudges, like trusting the impulses within, which require you to circulate money often. When I learned to trust that and do that in an energy that there's always more, things started happening in the most magical way in my life. And that's how we open up the channels for more to come in. So just like we said before with Michael Beckwith saying affirmations, they're not about making something happen, but they're about making something welcome. I want you to start thinking about yourself as, how could I be the most inviting, welcome channel for more to come in? If I'm calling in more, what would that version of me be like who has more, right? She trusts herself implicitly, right? She is light about it. She's neutral about it. It just is. One of the other mistakes I see people making is that they make money bigger than them. They make it more important than them. They make it feel special. Anything that we think is special or important, we have resistance around, right? When you remember who you are and you remember that you're a spiritual being having a human experience, you're creating your reality here. Money is just a tool, just like anything else, oxygen, ideas, impulse. It's just a tool there to help you. It's all about you being the fullest expansion of you, the fullest expression of you. And it requires money to do that, right? Your life requires money to do that, but it's meant to help you. It's meant to support you. It's just a tool. It's neutral. Cindy, I love seeing your comment in the chat. Your son make bottles of his milk and straw. That's so cute. Yeah, when we can learn to play and experiment and give ourselves permission to learn and do the wealth consciousness work to understand that at a quantum physics, like there's always more, there's always more, there's always more, there's always more opportunity, there's always more expansion, there's always more abundance. And you run your business from that energy, you go live from that energy, you teach and train from that energy, you sit on a discovery call from that energy, you will find that you have that experience of more coming into you as well. So, any questions on any of that? Type it in the chat. If you're here live, again, if you're on YouTube, you need to pop over to the Zoom. So elisearcher.com/expansion-room if you want to come join us and get your question answered. But we've got 10 minutes. I want to open up. I'm going to share about some things we've got going on, some ways you can go deeper in this with my team if you would like to. But I also want to open it up for if there's any questions on anything that shows up for you. I love the comments and the engagement from those of you who are here live. And I always trust the timing of what's going on and what I'm feeling called to teach, that it's going to be right for the people in the room. So I see some of you typing. I'm going to give you a minute to type here as well. What I'll share before we wrap for the day, and while you're typing your questions in the chat, we would love to help support you further. If this spoke to you, if this resonated with you and you're not currently in our community, I want to invite you to jump on a call with my team or check out what we've got going on if this is speaking to you. So we love, 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 like my heart's mission, my purpose, my passion is in supporting you in creating your own quantum leap. What I have learned through this work is that if I can have this experience of being a woman who couldn't break past low six figures for 10 years and things felt hard and felt stuck, to literally 10xing in 6 weeks, being able to run a very profitable, prosperous company now while working part-time hours, traveling the world, speaking on different stages, getting to live my dream, supporting my husband in his goals, being able to homeschool my kids. Like this is possible and available for anyone. And I know your version of a quantum leap may feel very different than mine, but what I have seen in this community as people literally 10x turn their annual income into their monthly income, have incredible new opportunities come in, heal health conditions that have been challenging them for years or some for decades, is that anything and everything is possible. And we want to support you in becoming the fullest expansion of you. That is my job. That is our job. That's what we're here for. So for my team, Kudzai, if you could drop the links in the chat, please. If you want to talk to a member of my team, elisearcher.com/free call. You can book a call with a member of my team. We would love to support you, to hear about what you've got going on and to explore how we can help serve and support you in that. We have everything from live events to group coaching to my high-level mastermind for women who are going to multi-6 or 7 figures. And we do private coaching. We would love, love, love to support you in that. We do have an event coming up this weekend that I want to take a minute and share with you about, gosh, if any of you are in California or you want to get yourself to California, we still have a few more days before we're kicking it off. So we have an event in Lake Arrowhead, April 24th and 25th called $1 Million Weekend. And it is going to be a transformational event. I know some of you who are here with us live are going to be there, so we can't wait to see you. It is going to be transformational. My team and I have been putting the finishing touches on the event for you. You will not leave the same person. We're doing wealth energetics. We're doing business mastery. We've got some cool special guest speakers who are going to be there as well. Live experiences, embodiment, and it's in the most beautiful setting. If you've never been to Lake Arrowhead, it is very spiritual. It's the most beautiful space you've ever seen. So Kudzai, if we could drop the link for $1 Million Weekend in the chat, you can still get a ticket to that as well. And we'd love to have you there. So that's coming up. That's this weekend. We've got just a few days until it kicks off, but you can still grab a ticket. We've got just a couple spots left. And then again, you can grab a call with my team, elisearcher.com/free call. And Lauren on my team has put together the most beautiful page that outlines our programs that you can go into from here. So Kudzai, if we could drop the link for the next steps page in the chat as well, please. That would be amazing. And if you go to the next steps page, then that'll show you at a high level what we've got going on. And again, if you want to have a chat with my team about how you can get involved, then you can book a call from that page as well. But we'd love to help support you and connect with you further. Let's see here in the chat. Yeah, so it's elisearcher.com/next-steps. Ashley, love all your prompts. What's one prompt you'd recommend to sit and practice with to really embrace go live with this energy. There's always more. Do you want to come off mute for a second and talk through it? I like talking to people live about things. Okay. Hi, good morning.
Nice to officially meet you. So.
You too. Yeah, you
And
too.
it's
Go ahead.
it's really funny because I responded back to a text this morning and I literally said what stuck with me from the last expansion room was this idea that it's okay to want more.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what you're talking about today, which is, how the universe works, of course. But I think my question really was there's so many good questions you were floating throughout. And I just love this idea about, really living and breathing this energy of there's always more. There's always more. And you said learn, play, experiment with it. But I was just wondering if there's one question that I can ask myself to really sit, journal, pray on, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
what would you recommend to really live and breathe into this idea of there's always more?
Oh my gosh, so good. I love that. Let me see if a question comes to mind. I will say for me, I like to immerse myself in that idea because, and I do that a number of different ways, and I'll share it with you. So many of us were brought up in environments that taught scarcity, that taught lack, that taught competition, that taught not enough. And so it's rewiring your neural pathways and your nervous system to help you understand a very different level of thinking and consciousness because the truth is we live in abundance. And there is so much abundance that if your focus and your paradigm is on scarcity, you'll have an abundance of scarcity. But everything is abundance at its core, and it's all about what are you focused on and what are you paying attention to. So for me, I remember when I was first like really shifting my mindset here, I was like, I am done with scarcity. I'm done like second guessing myself. I don't want to live this way anymore. I realized what a waste of my life it was. I was like, what in the world? I actually had a good friend who had died right around the time of the quantum leap experience I told you about. And I was like, why am I wasting my life not going for it, not going for the things I want, not trusting myself. I was like, I'm done with this. I'm gonna shift my perspective. I'm gonna stop trading my life for limiting beliefs and things that I don't want to trade my life for. And I'm gonna shift my paradigm. So I started immersing myself in wealth consciousness books and material. There's so many good ones out there. I think our programs are phenomenal. So I always tell our clients, like, if you're in 10K Club, listen to the modules again and again and again. Like, get in there and just listen again and again and again. I love Bob Proctor. I'm a big Bob, so I would listen to his stuff on YouTube a lot. I would listen to The Science of Getting Rich on repeat again and again and again, because every time you hear it, you hear something different. And the other thing I'd say, Ashley, is go for a walk in nature. Like if you want to show yourself that things are abundant. I mean, I'm looking outside at our front yard. There is no way I could count the blades of grass on the ground. There's no way. There's no way I could count the leaves on the trees, like even though they're just starting to come out. There's no way. There's no way. Nature is abundance. God is abundance. And many of us have been taught differently. But when you learn a different perspective, and to me, you can tell truth because it feels good in your body. That's why reconnecting with yourself, trusting yourself again is so important because I can now tell if I'm caught up in limiting beliefs or monkey mind, it feels negative, right? You have that negative emotion. When you think truth, which is infinite abundance, love, right? Everything is love, expansion, there's always more. How do you feel in your body? You relax, right? So you have to reconnect with your body in that way to be able to tell you when you're thinking truth versus when you're thinking a lie. And it's going to help guide you a lot. So I know that's not one question to ask, but hopefully it's some practices and some energy you can immerse yourself in that'll help. I think that was a great question. Yeah. Um, this is so good. Oh, Christy, you love Bob as well. That's wonderful. Losing money in the past or feeling your way to success and abundance. It's all, yeah, it's all the path. Like if you just give yourself permission to grow, to play, stop making it so final, stop making it so important, realize that you are the prize, you are the gift. It's you, it's nothing outside of you. And this whole journey, whether you've got a business, whether you're in sales, whether you're a stay-at-home mom who's watching us, like it's all about you becoming the fullest expression of you, and you make that the goal, everything shifts. So thank you so much for being here. The hour passed like that. I know it went so fast, but thank you. We'd love to connect with you further. If you want to connect with my team, please use those links in the chat. My team will also be emailing out all the links to you afterwards. Register for next week as well. We'd love to have you. We're going to be talking next week about masculine, feminine energy and business. It's going to be super powerful. And we just love you. So have an amazing day, everyone. Thank you for being here. See you very, very soon. Bye, everyone.